Sure. There's one that really stands out for me because I was transformed just as much as the team and this employee. And so I will share high level. Employee I'll call Tom, and Tom had a very full life, a very complex life with personal issues that came up frequently with his family, health related, all kinds of crises, homeowner related, parent related, you name it. This poor guy's been through it. And it showed up in how he worked, and so he was often, not where he was supposed to be, coming in late, leaving early, working few hours, not taking on a lot of the workload, and it was starting to put a lot of stress on his teammates, who didn't trust that he would follow through with their clients when they weren't in the office, and additionally, it had a negative impact on his leaders over the years. In fact, numerous had been reassigned off of the team as a result of conflicts with this particular individual. So I was called in probably because of my HR expertise, and I was put as a leader over this team. And everything started out great the first few months, but when I started noticing those patterns emerge, I sat him down to coach him through the importance of pulling his weight and performing in a way that meets expectations. As you can imagine, it didn't go too well, and, it started a bit of a battle, and it involved attorneys. He would frequently have his, attorney on speed dial and put him on speakerphone and wouldn't speak to me in private, always had to have a third party, and it just escalated over a few months, and I thought, "Gosh, this with all my years in HR and all the experience I have, this one is different." This one was bigger and different, and it started to have a physical toll on me. One of the symptoms was severe migraines. And so, um, this is something that you may or may not believe, but I'm gonna share the story anyway because it led me to the transformation. And I remember the day I stumbled my way to a chiropractor's office, desperate for relief from this headache. And on my way out, I met this old woman, and she was at the checkout window, and she's like, "Do you have a migraine?" And I'm like, standing there in pain. She said, "I can help you." And I thought, "I don't know what you can do, but I'm open to anything because I'm desperate at this point." And I followed her out to her car. She pulled a chair out of the back seat and had me recline back in this chair under this tree in the parking lot. And I thought, "Oh, this is crazy, but you know what? I'm gonna lean back and just close my eyes for a minute because this feels good." And she started talking about energy pulling. I had no idea what she was talking about, but she put her fingers on my scalp and said, "Tell me what's troubling you." And I started telling her about Tom and the accusations being made, the tone, the postures, the legal stuff, the third party requirements, all the things. And as I'm talking, she said, "I want you to imagine a bright light." So I'm laying there with my eyes closed, imagining this bright light. She said, "Like the sun. This is a healing energy. This is the divine loving energy from which we all come." She's imagine it. I'm imagining it. She's imagine it bathing you, imagining it bathing me. She says, "Now imagine Tom. Put him in front of that light." And she said, "He'll look like a shadow, the figure in front of this light." And I said, "Yes." And she said, "Now pull that light through him to you." Okay. So I'm pulling the light through him to me. This went on for I don't know how long. But when it was all over, I felt much better. I felt full and complete. I felt loved and valued. And I didn't have this headache anymore. I never got her name. I don't know where she came from. In fact, I went back into the chiropractor's office a week later and asked. They don't know who she is or didn't know anyone that fit the description. But back to the story. So the next day I come into work and I approach Tom and I imagine him with that light and ask him how he's doing, if there's anything I could do for him. And when he turned and looked at me, he went, like he was surprised or something. And I was like, genuinely curious about him and pouring that light into him.